I was very looking forward to this meeting, and he came in and went to shake his hand, and he slapped my hand away, and he's like, "You're not going to be here long enough for me to even care. Get the hell out of my way."
What?
And so I'm like, man, for weeks I got ready for this guy. I learned all the way he likes. I even had some stuff, some snacks that he liked.
Let's do it, dude. Jason, appreciate you having on, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I don't know why whenever I try to do an intro, dude, it doesn't work, but
No, you're good.
buddy, appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank you.
Taking the time out to come hang out with us and go through some of this stuff. But
Anytime.
jumping right into it, who is Jason Haugen?
Man, Jason's first off family man. I guess a God-fearing family man. My family means more to me than anything in the world. When we get into my story a little bit later, I kind of lost touch of my family a little bit, and now recently, or not recently, but in the past few years, I've really tried to just hone in on my family, what means most to me. A good buddy of mine, Ryan Flint, who's been on your podcast, always calls it his non-negotiables.
Yep.
He's a great friend of mine, mentor of mine, honestly, and he's just been honing me into what that really means. So, I'm a family man, businessman, entrepreneur, speaker. I got a podcast as well called Culture Camp, and I'm just Jason. That's why I always tell people I'm just Jason.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
What with the family? You're saying you're getting back with the family. What is that?
Yeah, so I mean, the story's kind of crazy, but I've been married once and have a daughter from that marriage, and then I'm remarried as of a few months ago, and just. That whole thing, I was not the greatest person. Talking about, a lot of people think the money's happiness and everything's great. I had all of that. That was great. But what I didn't have is the understanding of relationships and really what that meant and how to be a husband and how to be a father, really, to my newborn baby.
Yeah.
And, long story, but got divorced over it, and we're great now. I mean, my ex-wife and her husband are like my two best friends. I mean, they're some of the best people in the world, I think.
That's good, dude. Sometimes it takes that growing up, though. Unfortunately, it takes that growing up to figure that out.
Right.
I've been in the same situation.
Yeah.
And a lot of the past relationships and everything like that, sometimes I feel like mine are a little bit different. Mine were not my fault, but in some of them. But you kind of learn as you go.
Right.
You know what I mean? Had I gotten I feel like had I gotten a relationship at the age I'm at now, they probably would have all been totally different.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, a guy many years ago told me, most situations, all situations are a blessing or a lesson, either a blessing or a lesson, or they're both. And it was a blessing and a lesson for that marriage, and what I learned from it for this future marriage.
Yeah.
Or not future marriage, this present marriage, I should say. Hopefully there's not a future one. But if there is, then I'll be better. No, I'll keep evolving here. But it taught me so many lessons, and so to deal with people, and really how to be a single dad, how to deal with that other parent, and deal with people, right?
Yeah.
Because that person on the other side of the divorce or the other side is usually not happy, right? Like you're
somebody's
battling.
pissed off.
Yeah.
Somebody was
mad at
mad
somebody.
from the situation.
I mean, people don't. I mean, it's very rare, and I'm not going to put this in it's very rare for people to just amicably break up, divorce, and they just love each other through everything, and everything's fantastic. It's usually a reason, and my ex-wife had a huge reason. She for that. And so just dealing with her, and it took a really long time to create that relationship we have now. But I can honestly say, I've already talked to them a couple times today, and they're some of the greatest people. Her husband is one of my dudes. I love him to death.
That's
and
awesome.
He's a great father to my daughter. I want them to have that relationship. So I don't really say anything besides that's their other dad.
That's awesome.
That's just their dad,
that toxic shit, dude. If it's toxic, it's not good.
No, and I look at it how can I who am I to take that from my daughter?
Yeah.
If my daughter's in a situation and I travel a lot and she needs dad or needs somebody, well, I want her to go to him. I don't want to take that away from her, because how dare I take that from my daughter? And I want my daughter to be loved. At the end of the day, love wins. I want my daughter to be loved, and I'm not going to be selfish with that love, so to speak. I'm going to hey, I want you. And everybody was mad. I mean, did you see him took her to the corn maze? And did you take him I hope he does. And they went skiing. Dude, I was there. Me and him, me and him and my daughter, our daughter are going to go pick out skis next week, and we got season passes, so me and him can take her up this year. And we were teaching her last year on Little Bunny Hill. Like we did all that together. Like it's kind of one big old happy family. But
that's
it's
good, dude.
weird.
That's good. No, and it is like my ex and her new husband now. You know, we're best friends. We're not best friends. We're really good friends.
Right.
If my kids they call him dad, I'm totally fine with that. That does not bug me.
Right.
That doesn't change the bond that I have with my kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? My kids know who I am.
Right.
And I'm always there for them, but to not have a toxic relationship for the kids too is damn good, dude. My ex and I, we pretty much shook hands. Was like, we've tried, this isn't going to work, dude. And our relationship right now is way better than it was when we were together.
Yeah, same in mine. I mean, we even were kind of talking about it the other day. We went to lunch with her, and they have a daughter now, and her name's Harvey, and she's the best thing ever. She's my little. I'm pretty sure she has a crush on me, but we. Like we're just one like big group, and like we were just talking about how like it didn't work, and like, you know, my ex-wife was like, "Well, look at us now, like we're great." And
it's so good for the kids to see that shit too.
Yeah,
so good.
And it's easy because like when my daughter's with her, I can just call her and say, "Hey, let's go do something together."
Yeah,
and then I get to see my daughter.
That's
so
awesome.
It makes it easy.
So moving on, what does Jason Haugen do?
So I do like right now the biggest thing that I got going on is my RV dealerships. So I got 8 RV locations. I got one just right here, the Legacy RV, just literally across State Street pretty much. I have a service center. Honestly, this sounds bad, but it's somewhere back here. I've never seen it before. I just passed JP's Collision. All those trailers are mine. I'm like, oh hey, we use Scott over there all the time.
Dude, he's a stud.
Yeah, he's awesome.
They have so many RVs over there all the time.
They're ours.
Are they?
Yeah, they're all
Dude,
ours.
I have no idea how he gets through all those.
Most of them are ours. I mean, a couple other dealerships in the area use them, but I would say most of them are ours.
Dude.
It's a full-time back and forth.
It seems like the past year and a half when I drive by there, dude, he is blowing up.
Yeah, most of them are ours. But I got 8 locations, 1 service center. It's my biggest thing right now. I do real estate. Like I said, I got a podcast, do consulting, do coaching, speaking all over the place. I own a piece of a cannabis company that's fairly large with the NFL, a couple of NFL players, and it's kind of exploding right now. But yeah, it's just
what mechanics company?
It's cannabis.
So cannabis.
Yeah, cannabis company. So it's kind of hidden in Utah. I don't really talk about it because people would probably think I'm a pothead, but I really don't know much about it.
It's not Kush Cube, is it?
No.
I just pushed some others.
Yeah. No, that's Ryan.
That is Ryan.
And ours is real stuff.
Yeah.
We got seed to sell down in San Diego area. We got a big piece of property, a whole facility, and we got dispensaries and stuff. So, but I don't really have much to do with that. I just go to the parties because we sponsor a lot of the Super Bowl stuff. So I got to go to Super Bowl.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I never knew that side. I only knew of the RVs.
Yeah. No, I got a lot of stuff that I don't really talk about because it's a little bit taboo to talk about it in Utah.
Oh, with the weed and stuff like that?
Yeah, because people probably think I'm a pothead, which I'm like, dude, I don't really know anything about. Like, I've never been in one of our facilities.
Yeah.
I just go to the parties and invest in it. I'm a strategic partner, and we get calls every now and again and meetings, and really mostly just for the parties.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, it was a relatively inexpensive ticket, honestly, to go to the Super Bowl and all the parties. And I mean, I know like one of the owners, Jim McMahon, good buddy, like hanging out with him. All those guys,
Yeah, the network is huge. Being able to network with people. And that's the whole podcast for me is that same thing, to be able to network with really high.
Right. I mean, it's all about who you know. I mean, you used to hear that a lot.
Yep.
But it really is about who you know. And through that, like, I'm not like, we haven't made a ton of money from it, and I really don't care. It's more for the networks and the relationships I've created through that have led me to a ton of different opportunities.
The more hands you shake, the more money you make.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude,
for sure. And I'm Mr. Party, Mr. Network.
Your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that shit's Brad Lee stuff.
Yeah.
But
for sure, Brad always says that.
You got him coming on your podcast?
Yeah, hopefully, we'll see if Brad hears this, man. Freaking stop being a biatch and get in there.
Getting his ass on your podcast.
Yeah. But he's just busy. I'm busy. We're just trying to figure it out. And he was supposed to do it when he was at Keaton's thing. And I don't know, but
it's hard to find time, dude, when you both are going nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's just like, dude, I don't want. I didn't want to do it at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Neither did he. So But I'm going to Vegas for 4 or 5 days here coming up, and I think we're gonna connect. And if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. It's not a big deal to me.
Hell yeah! What does Jason Haugen want out of life?
Man, I just honestly just want to be happy. I really don't care about. So I grew up in a lot of money.
Yeah.
We had the jets and the big house and everything, and so I really have just kind of came to a sense that growing up, I just didn't really care. Like, and so it's really I just want to be happy. Like I watched my dad care nothing about money, like, and more care about relationships and people, which made him a lot of money.
Yeah.
Than anything. So kind of he's definitely my role model. I mean, I look up to him more than probably anybody, and he's super happy guy. We just spent a weekend or 3 or 4 days in Napa on our plane, flying him out like just for his birthday. Got a first birthday. It's kind of like a thing for me to take care of him. The whole time he's like bitching, how much is this? How much was that? Like that tasting was how much?
He's pretty frugal.
Chill. Oh my gosh, it's kind of disgusting, but I love him to death. But super frugal dude. Like he's hilarious. Like he cannot believe like we were drinking. We bought like a $50 bottle of wine because he's like on the $5 to $10 bottle of wine or boxed wine. He's super into boxed wine. So
what did he do?
So just like can't believe we're spending this much money. Can't believe we're that. And I'm like just buying stuff because I'm like, dude, whatever. Like I'll make more.
Yeah.
Like, my mentality is always like, how can I make more money, spend more money, make more money? But he's a little bit older. He just turned 69 the other day, and so he's more on the protection mode of life. So he's trying to protect everything, which is just it's one way not better than the other. It's just very different.
Yep.
And I'm like, hey man, I'm here to have fun. Let's stay here. Like we got a nice hotel, did all these things, and he's just a funny dude. But
there is that transition point when they at the age that they get. You know what I mean? Given you have to.
Oh yeah.
And unless you got a ton of mailbox money or whatever, and you don't care, like,
right?
Fuck you,
Which
money.
He kind of does.
Yeah.
But he still is very protection.
That's like I sit and talk to my parents, and I'm like, don't you guys. As bad as it sounds, you're looking at like 15 years or something. Like,
right.
Don't save that shit for me. Like, go.
Right.
Like, just get after it, dude. Just let it rip.
Yeah, no, it's cool for me to kind of push my mom and dad to do that. They bought a motorhome, and they've been traveling all over the
Where'd they buy the motorhome from?
From us. Yeah. And they got a big like Renegade Super C. Big, like,
hell yeah.
I think it's like around 40 feet long, but it's just super nice rig. And they got a brand new Razor, the crazy 2000 cc Razor that's just freaking insane. And they just mob around all around the West, camping every single day, literally. Like there's just, I had to like make sure I scheduled this Napa trip in between their camping trips. And
no shit.
But the whole time we're on this Napa trip, they're like, man, we're camping. We could do that. I'm like, seriously? Like we're in Napa. We just flew here on our plane.
And you're thinking about driving around camping.
But they just love that. Like my dad, when he was younger, did everything he possibly could to make enough money to go camping. And so that's still what they do 50 years later. And it's cool to see.
What did your dad do?
He owned everything, man. Every construction company, mortgage company, restaurant. Helped start Costa Vida. We owned a bunch of Costa Vidas. I don't know if you ever
owned or invested in. Owned.
Yeah.
Damn.
So we owned. I don't know how many locations we had. Quite a few of them, and then we had a piece in corporate, and I don't know how big that was, but we were there at the beginning, and then he had, everything, like a ton of commercial real estate. Different restaurants in Atlanta. We had 12 of them. I think they're called Johnny Carino's, which you probably never heard of Johnny
I've
Carino.
heard of Johnny Carino's.
Yeah, we had 12 of those, I think. 12 of those in Atlanta. And just was really smart with his money. Was really big into right now it's like a $36 billion real estate fund. He was there right at the beginning when that was formed. I don't know how, he won't ever tell us how much he's got in there. He might not have very much. He might have a lot, but he was there. That's what, he just has a ton of stuff going on.
And then he's just a super frugal guy.
Yeah, and he was in like his biggest start was he was in Amway.
Amway.
Yeah.
Dude, you hear about that shit all the time.
Yeah, he was one of the biggest guys in Amway ever.
No shit.
Yeah.
Dude, that's freaking wild.
Yeah, he had, I don't know how many people in his group, 100,000. I don't know how many people he had in his group, but they would have 35 or 40,000 people at their meetings.
That is freaking wild, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I think Amway was probably what started everybody calling pyramid groups.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
if you think about it, dude, everything in life is a pyramid.
Right. I mean, like literally that's how corporate structure is.
Yeah.
Right. You have the owner or the chairman, and then you have everybody underneath them.
Yep.
And they're never going to make more. Like I always tell people, because I was in it as well. Like that's where I got my start. I was in a network marketing company because I watched my mom and dad do it. I'm like, they're flying on jets, and we had a big, $1 million tour bus and all over the place. So like I wanted to do that. So what did I do? I did what mom and dad did.
Yeah.
And they were retired at the time. They didn't really want much to do with it, but that's what I did. So like. but then get into people who complain about it all the time. Be like, oh, it's a pyramid, and I'm like, what is that? Like, and really, like, they explain like a Ponzi scheme, which is totally different than they look like you buy products, you can't guarantee success. Like, and now like the FCC's like ruled a bunch on it, and it's more going towards customer base of life instead of like Amway was like business. Everything was an IBO, like a business owner, independent business owner, and then now it's more, oh, I'm a customer, like, and I sell it, and so it's just different. But like Amway definitely made some hustlers. I mean, there's a lot of stuff built. I mean, that Costa Vida, they're all in my dad's Amway group.
Yeah.
I mean, that was how they built that. I mean, Fat Cat's Pizza Factory.
Fat Cat, dude, there's a lot of shit that you're saying.
Yeah, so well, Fat Cat's the same guys who own Costa Vida.
Yeah.
So, all that was born out of my dad's Amway group.
So they had a group that was going after everything.
Yeah.
Is that group you were just saying?
So just like just everybody in Amway was in like my dad's downline, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But
dude, that is freaking wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. How did you get started? Have you ever worked for anybody else?
So yeah, man, I worked at GNC.
Let's hear
I worked
this.
at Costa Vida. It was the first job I ever had.
Okay.
I had, we had to go through the whole.
Did you have an in for Costa Vida?
I mean, no. My mom and dad would never do
No?
that to us. Oh, hell no. My mom and dad were so rough on us growing up, and they never gave us anything. 16, cut off, pretty much. Like, you have the ability to go get a job, that's on you. You go do your own thing, buy your own car, pay for your own gas, on insurance, on phone, on clothes. You do you. Even if we played sports, they're like, congratulations, learn how to do both. We manage all these companies, and we do both. You need to learn how to play basketball and have a job. So me and I say we because I have a twin brother. So, and everything that we did, we pretty much did copy of each other.
Yeah.
So I started at Costa Vida. It was okay. Kind of sucked. You didn't get a lot of money. I mean,
what'd you do at Costa Vida?
Just on the line, man, making food. It was. I mean, I can make a burrito better than anybody.
Mad burrito.
Oh yeah, did I like the spinning around those the tins?
Yep.
I could spin around and
it up.
I was a beast. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
And then I worked at Hollister, and then I was actually like a model for Hollister, California, and I was on like a bag and that whole thing. Shamefully enough, and then I did like the shirtless greeting. And then
did you really?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Way long time ago. And then I went to GNC, and GNC was my first I was making like maybe $1,000 a month, and I was like, I'm killing it, and life is great. I worked in the mall, so when I got my paycheck, I just spent all the money in the mall, and so I was always that whole thing. And then I learned to save my money. My mom and dad taught us money management growing up, and I was so cheap that like growing up, I wouldn't even go hang out with people because I didn't want to pay for it. I didn't want to go bowling. I didn't want to go to the movie because I'm too cheap. I saved everything I had. And like literally could live off probably $100 a month back then. I mean, I saved everything I had. I mean, my gas tanks would go weeks, if not month and a half, because I didn't want to go anywhere besides school and home. Yeah. But working at GNC, it really taught me a lot about like people. So like that's where my people kind of like sense started to come about because of how I was treated by a manager that I had, a regional manager that I had. And it was horrible. And he made me hate everything about I mean, I was into bodybuilding when I was 18 years old at the time. I was into bodybuilding, and like, everybody has a bro hookup at GNC, and like that's like the freaking bro thing to do is to work at GNC. And I honestly started to just hate it. And I worked there with one of my best friends, and it was a fun job initially. And I didn't last very long because of how I was treated. And right at that time,
I'm gonna throw this in there. The culture
sucked. Oh, it was horrible. Like I remember, I met some really famous people, popular people, wealthy people growing up. And so I always had like respect for people, a lot of respect for people. My mom and dad, like everybody you meet, you have respect to them. So I heard this regional manager's coming to the store. You tidy up the store, you wear no one ever does this. Back in the day, like in GNC, you could wear a button-up shirt and a red tie. So I wore a button-up shirt, red tie, khaki pants. I'm going to go all out for this guy and prove to him that I am. Because at the time, I wanted to be a regional. Like I wanted to go deep at GNC, maybe own them someday. That big margin in supplements, if people didn't know that. And so I was very looking forward to this meeting, and he came in and went to shake his hand, and he slapped my hand away, and he's like, "You're not going to be here long enough for me to even care. Get the hell out of my way."
What?
And so I'm like, man, for weeks I got ready for this guy. I learned all the way he likes. I even had some stuff, some snacks that he liked, like trying to prove, trying to be not just a number. And he literally smacked my hand. I met him at the front of the store. I'll never forget this. And he smacked my hand away in front of my GM. And she just stared at me, and he just went and did his thing and left and never saw him ever again. And then he would just call every single day and yell at you and bitch at you about, because we had sales quotas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
About how this wasn't right and that wasn't right. And I'm like, dude, why would I go to battle for this guy? If he doesn't care enough to even know my name, because he would call you out by store. Like store X, you did this. Never really care about the name. And so I'm like, if he doesn't care about knowing my name, why would I ever go to battle for him and try to get my stats up? So I stopped carrying it, and I just quit. I just stopped going to work. I honestly stopped going to work. I told my manager, like, I'm done.
No.
I can't do this anymore. And at
How
the time,
long after? How long did it take till you were like, dude,
oh,
I'm done?
like your weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was stupid. And like, it actually was very shortly after Black Friday, because I worked a 24-hour shift for Black Friday through everything. I mean, it was stupid because my manager wanted to go shopping, and there was only like 4 employees at the store.
Yeah.
And everybody's out of town or wanted to go shopping, and I was the only person that was like a hustle. Like I just was taught to hustle. Like, yes, I'll take the
You're
shift.
like,
I'll take the shift.
I got it.
And so I worked basically 24 hours nonstop. Had a few different breaks, dude. I just burned through this and never got a thank you. Hey, and he knew I did. And I was like, why am I killing myself for this company? It doesn't even care about me. And so like that gave me really insight, like of how I wanted to treat people and how I wanted to be known, and which kind of created our company today of how I'll never forget that situation. And so even like today when I go meet people, shake their hand, talk to them, and you can talk to me for. My problem is I talk too much.
Yeah.
And so I could be there for an hour and a half knowing about their kids and their soccer games and their uncle Jerry did this, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. But it's genuine, and I really am interested in people. But shortly, so I quit, and then my mom and dad had a massive house, and so I became their maintenance guy. They fired their maintenance guy, and I became their maintenance guy. Literally, we had a punch card, clock in, clock out, do your thing.
Hold on. Massive house?
Yeah.
Maintenance dude for the massive house.
Yeah.
What's a massive house?
20,000+ square feet and 30 acres of property.
30 acres.
Yeah, 27 acres, I think it was, property.
That's badass.
Yeah, no, it was a chore. I'll say our driveway was half a mile.
Yeah.
I had to groom it and cut it and blow it all the time.
Yeah.
And we had a gate that was a half a mile away, and it was just a lot of maintenance, like 11 furnaces, AC, they change all that stuff all the time. Multiple water. I don't even know how many water softeners we had, but just maintenance.
Dude,
I mean,
were you getting ready to say you clock in, clock out?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we had a punch card. We had the punch card growing up, so same punch card. So my mom and dad, if you go we don't have chores, so if you needed to go work on something or like, hey, we want to go golfing. Golfing a long time ago was like $7 to go to Golf City in Ogden. And so my mom's like, okay, you got to do boom, 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 boom for this amount of time. And then you got to go golfing. So we go punch, clock in, do the thing, clock out. And then she'd look at him, okay, that's good enough time. You can go golfing and she'll pay for golf. But yeah, so I would clock in, clock out, get paid payroll just like everybody else.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Chores is the hardest damn thing as a parent to monitor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Time clock, dude.
Dude, I'm bad because I maybe I'm lazy. You know what I mean? I'm like, did you do it? Yeah, you sure? Okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then without that time clock or something, I'll forget what the hell they'll come to me and they're like, no, you owe me $10, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. So I had to turn in the card. Anything that wasn't on the card, I had to clock in, clock out, tell them what I did. And really, I just kind of policed myself because I knew I was just such a hard worker.
Yeah.
And that I'd go above and beyond and do stuff, and I got paid hourly, so I'd finish an entire day's worth of work in a couple of hours. Wouldn't get paid more for it. I wasn't on like piecework or anything like that, and I could go hang out with friends or go. We had a basketball court, go play basketball. I was just such a hard worker that they just trust me to do my own thing. But you would clock in, clock out. If it wasn't on that time clock, then you ain't clock out for lunch, like clock in, like.
Dude, the punch card thing's badass.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
And that was my
badass.
whole life growing up. And so the same punch card. So I became their maintenance guy, and then got any opportunity to join a network marketing company back in 2013. It was February of 2013.
How old were you there?
I was 19.
Are you 28 now?
Yeah.
28.
So I'll be 29 in a month or two.
So you were 19.
December. Yeah. Yeah, and then that exploded. I mean, I became one of the top ranks of the top rank in the company. Spoke all over the country, and that was a ride from 2013 to 2019 is basically when I just let everything go. So
Hold on,
yeah.
what?
Yeah,
let everything go.
I let it all go. I built a company built a group to a few thousand people, kind of spread across the country. I was flying around speaking different, we call them like BDS, business development seminars, and just had a blast. I fell more in love with speaking in that part of the business, and I cared about recruiting people.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm a great salesman if I'm passionate about something. Like I can sell you anything, but I had a really hard time recruiting people. It's just not my personality. Because finding now I just wasn't passionate about that side of the business. Because I'm like, you're not going to make much money because there's not a lot of money in it, honestly. And any network marketer come to me and tell me that they're making a lot of money, and I wouldn't believe it because my mom and dad were in AMA for 27 years. They were in network marketing for 44 years. I'll just say that. And so I think I would know a thing or two.
Yeah.
But I would just grew that. It was great, making good money, okay money. In that time, got married, had a baby, built a nice house, was still doing full-time network marketing, had a clothing company with a buddy on the side, like a phone case, flip up the phones, on the side, and just did a few side things. It really just kept my main thing, and did the network marketing thing full-time.
Yeah. And
then we got sold kind of out from underneath us, and so my compensation plan didn't really fit in the new compensation plan of this new company. Lost a bunch of money. Had big legs, what you call them, leave to go to other companies, so my income just crashed. And that was back in 2017, and I pretty much lost everything. 100% of my income gone, and I have a ex-wife, pregnant, house, mortgage, car, one car payment, the other one was paid off. And dude, I'm just looking and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like I have no degree.
Is this one of your biggest?
Oh yeah, this is one of the biggest. This is I talk a lot about defining moments. This is kind of a defining moment of the decision. Like
biggest
of what
setback.
I wanted to do. This was my biggest setback for sure. Dude, you're talking about I'm on top of the world. I'm speaking everywhere. I had we had CDs, MP3s. I'd sign CDs all the time.
CDs.
This is only back in 2013. But we like to give physical things out where they could use it. And then we found out no one had a CD player anymore in their car. And so we just did MP3s. You could text people. But I'm on top of the world, speaking all over the place, just feeling good about myself, and feeling
19.
good about life. At 19, and then in 2017, I guess I would have been 26.
Yeah,
I guess maybe, I don't know, somewhere in there, and to lose everything, and lose all my income, and then I'm like, what do I do? And so I made the hardest phone call of my entire life, and I was actually just talking to him on the way here, because he's literally my brother, best friend in the freaking world. His name's Deuce. He saved me, man. He had a cabinet shop up in Haugen, and I'm like, dude, I'm bawling, dude, I need to come work for you. And he was like, what do you mean? I don't need employees. I'm like, you got to make a spot. I'm gonna lose everything, and no questions asked. I come to the shop right now. So I went over to the shop, and he's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, do anything for money, man. I don't even know how much you're going to pay me, but I can't lose my house. My wife is pregnant, dude, and he knew her. And he's like, I know, dude, you can't. So he gave me a job and let me build cabinets basically through the middle of the night. I would build cabinets. So but I still at the same time had the network marketing company. So I would get asked to go speak and, live this lavish theoretical lifestyle, and then go fly back home and then have to go build a bunch of kitchens, because I was their only builder. I'd build all the kitchens and pretty much every cabinet in the house.
So you were still with the same company, but the income was gone.
The income was gone. And so it got really frustrating because I'm supposed to go sell this dream to people that they can have anything they want, but I'm sitting here thinking dude, I'm splintered hands, and I'm filling phone calls of customers, and they don't know this. They think it's the people in the MLM business. And so I started to kind of shy away and detract myself out of the network marketing, and then I honestly fell in love with cabinets. I had a blast. I worked my way up and was designing kitchens and going and bidding jobs with them, and because then I was literally working through the night, and then I would build the entire house, whether it was a kitchen, house, whatever. But sometimes it was an entire house.
You were doing installs too.
Yeah, and then I would drive the freaking box truck to the back up. The install crew would unload it. I would kind of manage it a little bit, make sure they're all good, drive back to the shop, start building again, and then build. If it took me, because we were doing one a day, so I had a quota to get done, and then build. And then while I'm taking calls at a network marketing company, run home, put on a nice shirt, do a Zoom meeting, take everything back off, run back to the shop, build the kitchens. It was a tough rode while I had to act like I still had money. I still had to drive my BMW, so because like that's the lifestyle that network marketing creates, is that you have to have a sense of a lifestyle and try to keep everything afloat. It was a really, and my wife is pregnant, and I'm doing a bodybuilding show at the same time. So like this was a very stressful time in my life. And so in 2017, we got approached by a group in Salt Lake City here, Legacy RV Center, by the owners where they were going under, essentially. And I was doing great at the construction. I had a blast with it, man. Like I freaking
What was your buddy's name?
His name's Deuce Namazi.
Deuce Namazi?
Yeah, CMD Construction, Cabinet Market and Doors up in Ogden. Greatest dude in the world. Like literally like my brother. Like we do I do a lot of construction projects, everything I can have. Like I'm like, dude, like, because he saved me. I'm like, I will pay you over 1,000 times, man, because you saved me. So I know exactly how much he paid me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll pay you over. I want to pay you over like 1,000,000 times that amount. Like I just want to keep feeding you because he kept me from losing everything. Yeah. And like one of the most vulnerable positions of my life. Like I mean, and then you have all the people. I told you, like, my family started to find out. My ex-wife's family started to find out about the whole network marketing thing, and then just started dogging on it, right? Like that's just stereotypical. Like, you don't have a job, you don't have a degree, you don't have anything, you're never going to be anything. But what I never let go through this whole entire process is my dream. I knew what I wanted, I knew where I wanted to go. Yeah. And I just kept letting that be bigger than any obstacle. And like bigger than freezing my complete ass off in a box truck with no heat and no AC, driving up to Logan and working in, I worked all the way like through, when it was like 10 below zero up there. Yeah. We had no heaters because we couldn't afford that. Heaters we were building like 100-unit townhouse apartment complex up there. Yeah. And I was feeding them all the cabinets. And then I would build them in the units. So I'd build all the cabinets in the units.
Put them together in the units and everything like that. Were they like flat stack and you take them up there and put them back? Yeah. Assemble them. And then
so I would drive up the box truck up there, 10 miles an hour up Sardine Canyon, come back down, go all the way over there. But it's just I was the whole time listening to like audio podcasts and motivational stuff. Like, hey man, I can do this. And like, I'm the most positive guy in the world. And like, the crews, I would start speaking like, hey man, you can do this. And like, you do anything you want. You can make $1 million a year. And they're like, dude, just shut up. And like, I was always that guy because I never wanted to let my obstacle get bigger than my dream. Yeah. And, and in 2017, we found out about the RV dealership, and my dad called me and was like, I don't really want to do it, but do you? And we had a little bit of money, but I'm like, man, I would love to. But because it was an opportunity for my dad and myself to work together. I've always wanted to do stuff outside of my dad because I wanted to be Jason Haugen, not Randy Haugen's son. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, well, let's work together. Like I'm at the point in my life I just really don't care. Me and Benjamin Franklin got to start sleeping together more. Mm-hmm. So all I care about is like that side of things. And so I'm like, hey man, like let's work together because I need money. Like seriously, I need money. My dad's like, look, I don't want to be a part of it really. I don't want to do much. I'll invest. I'll be the backing of it. But you go do it because we loved RVs. We grew up in them. And so my dad was like, we made a deal. I got out of the construction. I finished the job. I worked freaking Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, every New Year through because I promised my buddy I'd finish this job.
Get that shit done.
Yeah, I gave him my word I'd get it done. I mean, I was building 6 to 8 units a day. I mean, I was a machine. I could put together some cabinets.
While doing the RV
while doing everything else. Yeah.
While doing that.
And so January 15th, we actually closed, or January, somewhere in the middle of January of 2018, we closed on this dealership here in Salt Lake City. And I went there full time as a salesperson. My dad made me basically start as a salesperson and allowed to make a living off that wage and make a living as a salesperson. And it was hard. I mean, I had no experience, no clue what I was doing. And we just muscled through it. And about 6 months later, my dad actually got so in love with it that he came to the dealership every day.
Really?
And so he's like mentoring me every single day on what to do.
Was your brother involved with this too?
Not yet. So, well, my older brother came with me to be the parts clerk, and then eventually parts manager. But my attitude is, man, I know I can make it better, but I got in there and I got to get in there and see how things are working. And so I got in there and became the operations manager, which is a funny story, but I became the operations manager in like June or July of 2018, and then 2020, I became the CEO. We bought more locations, and I made myself CEO.
Yeah. So that was the first one you bought, though.
Yeah.
At 2020, how many did you have at the end of 2020?
3.
3 of them?
Yeah.
Utah?
Mm-hmm. 3
What,
in Utah.
what made you go out of state?
Honestly, a deal.
Yeah?
So I actually, funny story. So in September 2019, I went to look at the dealerships we bought in Oregon in 2019, but they were such a shit show. I was like, hell no, I'm not doing this. Our second location can't be out of state and be a shit show.
Yeah.
And so I told them no. And, circle back in 2021, we actually ended up buying those 2 stores for a lot more than I probably could have. I definitely, 5 times as much.
That you could have back when you first grabbed it?
Yeah, but, learn lessons, and, like everything is a blessing or a lesson, and it was both. Because I had to learn a lot, I had to go through our systems, figure out how to manage people better, get the culture correct, get our systems correct, get our, the P&L, all that stuff, get it dialed in, all the processes in the dealership, get it really dialed in to be able to go out. And
is that when the whole culture thing came together?
Yeah.
It was about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been, so like, we buy the dealership and everything's great. And
Yeah.
I come from such a self-development, like, cult of a culture. Like, that's what you live your life through, is self-development. That the first day we're bringing books. Like, everybody's going to read these books. And they're like, what the hell? And then they're learning personalities. We study personalities now. Like, we have all the managers, everybody study personalities.
That's badass.
So we use the DISC personality assessments. And, we're bringing all these books in. And they're like, what is going on here? And so even while I was working at the dealership, I'm still doing the network marketing thing. And so I'm like traveling back and forth and doing all that.
You were still doing that?
Still doing network marketing for 2 years, or for a year and a half. And then the end of, I'll never forget this. I got invited to go to a meet. We got sold again.
Who was helping you open or running, turning around these stores?
So I had an operations. So I became the operations manager, and then we had a general manager.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. He still to this day is my operations guy for the whole group. He really ran everything. I was more of the 30,000-foot view.
Yeah.
On the business, not in it. And while I was still traveling and speaking, 2019 was a crazy summer. I was never home. That's when I went through my divorce, and I was traveling. I was doing everything I could, come home, see my daughter, leave. Trying to spin the wheels of this new company because we got sold,
Yeah.
And then I go to speak in end of 2019. They go to a big conference in Vegas, and we go to a board meeting, and they bring in the new owners because we got sold again. And so I'm like, okay, guys, screw this. And then that still fell through, and then we got sold a month later. And I'll never forget that I was with my girlfriend, now wife at the time, or now girlfriend. She's now my wife. We were in Vegas, and I got invited to come to San Diego from Vegas. I was like November 1st, 2019, I think it was. And I went to a board meeting of this new company that officially bought us. We went through.
Yeah.
And I walked out of that meeting, called her, and was like, I'm done. I'm never coming back. I canceled my auto ship and never went back.
COVID was bound to affect that shit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was end of 2019.
Yeah.
And so, like, 2020 was just lights off, man. It was just exploded. Our industry. But it's crazy because we bought our next 2 stores, the biggest transaction I've ever made in my entire life, still to this day. We bought in February 1st, 2020. And like the world shut down in March.
Yeah.
And that was the scariest moment of my entire life.
Which in the end, like COVID got everybody. You probably couldn't keep RVs.
No.
Hell no.
I had lots up in Oregon that they never had more than 5 at one time. So I had 4 or 5 acres just empty.
Dude, that's a damn good. Like you said though, at the time that COVID hit, you have no idea what it's going to do to you.
Right.
But
we were making plans. Okay, like we're gonna start shrinking the stores. This person goes first. That person goes second. We had a board meeting basically, an advisory meeting, and we're like, knock out this person. We had every org chart at every dealership. We had 3 at the time. What are we gonna do? And then the owner of the dealership was like, oh, thank God I got out of this. And I'm like, what did I do? And so I had a mentor call me, and he's like, dude, this is going to be the best. He's in the RV industry. He's actually has a seat on my board right now. He's probably one of the top consultants in the RV industry. He's like, dude, this is going to be the best thing that ever happened in the RV industry. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? They're closing everything. He's like, just trust me. So I called my dad and was like, hey, man, how's bankruptcy working? He's like, you're already claiming bankruptcy? Like, losing his mind because he's still got some financial tie to it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you're not pulling me into this. I'm like, no, Dad, chill. But I just want to know how it works. And he's like, I was like, what if I have 5 million in inventory or 25? And he's like, Oh, it's just kind of a digit. Like it's same, just more creditors. Like bankruptcy, dude. Whether it's a $50 million bankruptcy, it's a $5 million bankruptcy. The process is kind of the same.
Yeah.
So I got off the phone, made the next phone call, and ordered $25 million worth of inventory.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like, let's bring it in.
Let's go. Let's go balls to the wall. I mean,
if it's not going to affect you on the price, let's just get them here so that we have them.
Right. I mean, if the worst thing is I ordered $25 million worth of inventory, we claim bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And
the best thing is you have all this damn inventory.
Yeah.
If what your buddy said was
yeah,
correct.
I mean, yeah, and if the
and
worst
shit
thing
was
is
gonna
I'm
blow
sitting
up.
here with $3 million in inventory and I'm watching everybody else sell it, which happened. I mean, I bought all of Camping World's inventory. Every dealership in Utah bought all their inventory, pretty much the United States. I was buying inventory left and right, stuffing it in every empty lot in, don't tell the insurance company and the flooring company, every lot that I could find.
Yeah.
We were stacked full, but we started to sell. I mean, we raised some sell, like one of our Logan stores, they were selling 25 a month to 125 a month, and they could only fit 100 on their lot a month. So we were turning the inventory once a month, just cranking the inventory coming in. And I remember calling one manufacturer. Well, I kept calling him. He texted me back like, hey, I'm in a production meeting. I'll call you back. And I was like, tell production I need 250 units of this single trailer. And he called me. He's like, what? And I'm like, dude, I need it now. Run the inventory. Because they're shutting down their plants. So they literally turned everything back on and ran it for us, 250 units straight, same floor plan. Yeah.
That's a good
It was the single biggest decision I've ever made. I mean, it could have bankrupted us, but it ended up being the best thing that I've ever made. And then people kind of caught on, started saying, hey, no, I need the inventory. And they're like, sorry, it's going to Jason.
And you already was ahead of it.
Oh, yeah, I was 2 months ahead of that, which was $25 million of sales.
Dude. Are all the dealerships you're buying, are they in big cities or anything like that?
Nope. So actually we're more rural, and that's not by choice. So if you're out there and you have a rural dealership, don't think I'm going to buy you. But it's just kind of how things happened. I like the smaller stores, the smaller footprint. I don't like the massive 25-acre facilities. It's just moving a continent, man. Like, you're not nimble. Like, if the economy starts to contract, well, if I have 30 service bays,
there's no quick moves.
I mean, what he's going to do?
Yeah.
But if I have 4 or 5, I can contract into a lean, mean crew of 10 people to run that dealership instead of 25.
Yeah.
But if I had 30 bays and I got 500 units, there's no way I can go less than 100 employees or 50, 75 employees. Like, that's just a big ship to move, and you're paying all that money in property taxes and all that flooring interest. I mean, the bigger ships, I'm not super stoked on. I like the more nimble, and that just happens to be a lot of rural places.
Yeah, more of your niche.
Yeah, which has been hard. Like, I've definitely made my criteria tighter, I should say, than what I made a few transactions that we're dealing with right now. But like, I've definitely made my criteria tighter as far as the advisory board. So when I go do these acquisitions, I have to go put it through them, and they'll put it through my criteria that I made. So then they have to tell me, check me a little bit.
Yeah. And
so, but it's just happened. And I like the people. We got a lot of country stores, and especially South St. Louis and Bonne Terre and Festus, Missouri. It's good people.
So one of your biggest things is the culture. So what do you do when you go into these stores?
Man, really. So a good thing that I was taught by another one of my mentors is, so when I personally go into a store, I'm not there to kick ass. Yeah. I'm just there to have a relationship with people and figure out what's going on. Now, will I have to go kick ass? Yeah.
Not chopping people?
No, I'm just there to just figure people out, see what they need. Oddly enough, people open up to me more than they would open up to their manager. And so I get those phone calls like, hey, I'm frustrated with this person, I'm frustrated with that person. And so, but when I'm going in there, like a really good mentor, advice, I don't do this all the time because I get caught up in some stuff, but a really good piece of advice that I give anybody out there is, one of my mentors said, hey, when you go there, go to the GM, ask him who's 2 people that have just excelled in the last couple of days and what situations happened. And then he has like $100 gift cards in his pocket all the time. He'll just walk up to him and say, hey, man, thank you for taking care of this customer. Thank you so much. You stayed extra. You stayed till 8 o'clock at night. Walking through, here's $100. And so what I go do is, I don't always have gift cards, but I just go, hey, man, who are 2 people that just crushed it? It sells, I don't care what person it is. Could be accounting. Yeah. And then I'll go up to him and say, hey, thanks for doing that. And I try to go make rounds to everybody and say, hey, but then I'll specifically pick 2 people and say, hey, man, thank you for helping us out. Because at the end of the day, my last name's in the building. Yeah. And so they're fighting for like my last name and that shield on that building, because all of our logos are shields. And so it means a lot to me that they went a little bit extra for me, really for themselves and for the customer. And so but that's just a culture we want to create, is just an environment the complete opposite of my GNC story, where you can feel comfortable to make mistakes. I failed my way to success. You have to fail your way to success. Now, if you keep making the same mistakes, we have to figure out and coach that. But I look at my business like a sports team. Like, we got to coach the people. Our managers are the coaches.
Does anybody ever learn without failure?
Everybody has to learn with fail. I mean, you have to. You have
Yeah.
to fail, because if everything's perfect, then it's just. I can't even say anything about that because it's impossible. Nothing is perfect. Like, I've had insane story. I've learned from stuff. I've made mistakes that have cost me millions of dollars. I've done some stupid stuff and got fined. Like, there's just done like that I didn't know, but you just keep moving forward, and that's how you that's how you move forward.
I was talking about this with my cousin the other day. It's weird because people will tell you don't do that. You know what I mean? They've been around. They know. They'll
Right.
say, hey, don't do that. But for some reason, I feel like I'm different. And it takes that failure. Like, I end up doing it anyways and failing.
Right.
And then learn from it. So anything that I've learned from is definitely something that I failed at.
Right.
That somebody's already told me, like,
Right.
dude, that's a bad thing. Like,
Right.
don't do that. Like, I've been on this planet a lot longer, dude. No.
Right. Yeah, and like, you just gotta pick. Like, everybody's different, right? And that's why we study personality so much. And like, I'm really interested in like the psychology behind what people do and people think. Like, it sounds stupid, but I wish that I would have went back to school. Like, I could go to like a tech school and just learn psychology and like how people think, because that is more important than a lot of things when it comes to business and dealing with people. Because you want, especially sales, like, how do you get people to buy things, and especially with your people, how you get them to buy into you. And with me, we go by the dealership, and Jason comes knocking on the door through the door, and they're like, "Who the hell is this freaking kid?" Like, they're in their 50s, 60s. They've been
Kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
28.
Well, dude, I'm 28, man.
27, 28.
But I am there to just totally help them, support them, and it's a very slow process. But I'll spend thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of dollars for that slow process to get that strong foundation on the other end.
I like it.
If I go in there and like sometimes you have to make a quick change, but it's strategic, and that's when you're like a freaking sniper, and you boom, and then you just makes it happen. Then you kind of deal with it.
Yeah.
But I like to go in there and see what's going on and change and make it. My dad used to call it, like, it's posture, right? Like, you go in there and you wanted to buy in, and so I always think of how I do things like this. And I know we are on time. I can talk forever. But
no, you're good. You're good.
when
dude.
when you're getting someone to buy, so when Jason's walking into a store, I'm already thinking I got everything against me because I'm a younger dude. I've been 4 years in the RV industry. Now our reputation is starting to become where people are begging us for us to acquire them because they know how we operate.
Yeah.
So, but a couple of years ago, I go into situations like this with anything. So you're in Central Park, and there's a bunch of pigeons in Central Park in New York, and I have a loaf of bread. They want my loaf of bread. I know they need my loaf of bread. But if I run through the pigeons with my loaf of bread, what's going to happen?
Scare them off.
Scare them off. So if I walk up to them and talk to them and look them in the eye, maybe back up and sit on a bench, break up the bread out of the package, maybe go put some bread on the ground, more on the ground, more on the ground, and then have it in my hands.
Very
and
trusting.
they can come to me. That's a bond, and they will never leave me alone. And that's like a proven fact. When pigeons are very smart, they know you when you walk in. Like, they always say, like, those pigeon ladies in the TV shows and movies. That's true. Like, the birds know who's gonna give them.
I'm
food.
picturing Home Alone at the moment right
me
now.
too. Me too. I love that show. But so when I go into a situation, I know that I have what they need.
Yeah.
They just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
So I have to gain that trust with them, and I have to learn who they are, learn how they operate, until I can make a strategic decision on the other end. But if I don't know anything like that, they just think I'm some asshole and I'm going to lose everybody. Because, like you said earlier, we have a bunch of rural stores. I don't have a freaking bus of 40 people sitting around the corner when we make the acquisition, say, hey, everybody get out, the bus is going to roll up and everybody's going to get off. I don't know a single person in the area.
Yeah.
So what we always tell everybody is, look, we're buying you. We're buying the people. At the end of the day, if we didn't have the people, we'd have a bunch of real estate, which I'm not necessarily in the real estate business. I'm in the RV business. And I don't need the inventory to sit there and look pretty as a bunch of real estate ornaments. Okay, how you cash for that real estate, sell our RVs, and so I need you to sell them. And so I'm buying you. And so, we obviously everybody isn't buying into that and buying our culture, and we roll up with stacks of books, and this is how we're going to manage, and my culture cards that I have, and our values, our mission statement, and we have a whole training program about we don't do write-ups, we do cultural realignment meetings and cultural realignment sheets, and we really manage through our culture. And it's a process, and people think we're a little freaking weird at the beginning, but then they're like, man, like it's very different than anything anybody's ever seen before. And I get asked to come speak at different stores, different companies, even some manufacturers. I'm not going to say who, but some manufacturers have reached out to me and asked me possibly to come speak to their staff as a dealer because of how I deal with people.
Yeah, and I feel like your approach to it is perfect. As far as a small town goes, like you're just saying, if it was in a bigger city, but as a small town goes, if you come in there and you hack everybody off and you put up a now hiring sign, who the hell are you going to get?
Oh, yeah. There's no one driving by in the middle of nowhere. So
you don't have that buzz.
I'm not going to lie. I mean, no one's driving by Price saying, hey, I might work at that dealership.
Yeah.
Because no one's doing that, or helper, I guess. And even in our bigger markets, like people just want to be treated like they're appreciated and loved. And like empowered and appreciated. And especially with those higher caliber people, they need the most appreciation and the most love because they can go somewhere else and it can cost you how much money. And oftentimes we forget about those people because they're just doing their thing. And I have a rating system, L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, and we rate everybody on our culture. We rate everybody on their KRAs and where they're at in their journey of getting to the L5s.
Yeah.
And so, how we're coaching them and how we're talking to them and appreciating them, and like, don't micromanage them, check up on them. If they got it going and they're just doing their thing and they're what we call an L5, why are you micromanaging them? They don't want to be micromanaged. You're slowing them down. Just check up on how you doing. Hey, how's kids? Hey, how was your trip? Good. If they have an issue, they'll bring it to you. If you have an L1, they need to be micromanaged and go through their journey, side by side. And so, like,
what's the L stand for?
Just level.
Level
1, level 2, level 3.
Gotcha.
It's called L. Or like leadership, but really, it's just level. And that's from we use a system from a mentor of mine that we got it all mapped out, and we use our cultural realignment meetings from them, and it's a whole process. But we just want to treat people, and I want to treat people how I want to be treated.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a lost art in today's business world, and today's people just don't really care.
Listening to you talk, the guys that do that kick ass and are at the top, like you were just saying, where most of the time we do not praise them enough,
right?
Because they're doing what they're doing and they always do what they do. And it's the same thing with the world, which is kind of a shitty thing. You got that shithead that is in and out of prison or something like that, or in and out of jail, or in and out of trouble. And one day he does good, and you're like praising him, like, oh, good job.
Right.
But that dude that is just always solid never gets that praise.
Right.
He never does.
Right.
So I like that you say that you do have to.
Yourself. I mean, you're quote unquote at the top. I'm at the top. I love praise, man. I love when an article comes out. It just kind of checks and validates that I'm doing the right thing.
Yep.
And not that I need to be it all about me, but I need that reassurance of like, because I was in the back of my mind, am I doing the right thing? Am I treating people the right way? Do I have the right culture, the right business? Am I doing things the right way? And we have articles come out, or we just had one come out the other day about us that's like, man, that made me feel really good.
That's awesome.
It makes me think I'm doing the right things.
You just won. What the hell did you just win? I seen you just won an award.
Yeah, so
top 100?
Yeah, top 100 fastest growing companies in Utah. We got number 17. And I actually when does this podcast come out?
This will be next Wednesday?
Okay, so.
Next Monday.
2 Wednesdays.
Okay, cool.
From now,
so by the time this comes out, so I actually won the top 20 in their 20th state of Utah.
Did you?
Utah Business
What
Magazine,
is that? What do they go off of? Judging that, what do they go off of?
I don't know. I've been nominated for quite a few years and just got it for the first time this year. I know that there's a lot of applicants, but there's just a criteria and there's a board and
top 25, is that what it was?
Top 20 in
top
their 20s.
20.
Yeah.
In their 20s.
Yeah.
That's like the 40 under 40 or.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, so like little things like that, like I love.
Two different awards.
Yeah.
The 100 in Utah,
mm-hmm.
top fastest growing company in Utah,
yep.
top 100.
Yep.
And then the 20 under 20.
Yep, and then I won 40 under 40 in the RV industry last year. And then my brother actually won it this year.
No shit.
So my twin brother, yeah, so we're both top 40 under 40.
Do you guys compete?
Not really. Like
no?
He's so different than me. like I used to give him shit all the time, and I kind of feel bad for this. But I used to just say he fell so far from the tree that he's not even in the same orchard. He operates just so differently, but in his capacity, what he does for us as a company, he's the best in the industry, I think. He does our inventory management. He is so good at it. And obviously he's new, so he's got a lot to learn. Yeah. But his brain is so analytical, and what he's created within our company is literally industry first. Like no one's doing it how we're doing it. Even Camping World, these big billion-dollar conglomerates, not even close to what we're doing. And so he's just that brain. My brain is like, I know that I need it. I'm gonna get people to build it.
I think you guys got a fresh look on it from people that have been around forever.
Yeah, which is a good perspective, right? Like I haven't been in the industry for 40 years.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing it how I see it.
Yeah. Are you selling s'more kits now?
Brad's s'more kits. No, we don't have any s'more kits.
Son of a bitch, Brad. He ain't selling your s'more kits yet.
I'm sorry, Brad. But I did go to his dealerships, and I don't know. I haven't seen
Was he selling s'more kits?
I don't know. I didn't
You're gonna have to ask him about it.
I'll have to ask his guys and see. But I mean, I think it's a great idea because it's just camping and stuff like that.
It's a fun knick-knack thing, dude, that people think's just awesome.
Yeah, we give them cookies and mugs.
Yeah.
So they get mailed cookies and mugs every time they buy something from us, which are the best.
So what's next for Jason Haugen?
So I just want to keep growing the RV dealerships. We're really in growth mode. We're putting some things together that's just going to catapult us, hopefully double our size this next year, and we're going to keep crushing it. Me personally, man, I want to get speaking more. I love it so much. So back in the network marketing thing, man, I spoke so much. I fell so in love with it. And when it came to the RV industry, I kind of lost that avenue. And I love it because my heart is truly to help people. I look at the RV dealerships like I'm giving people jobs. Like it's proud of me. I mean, our payroll's not crazy, but it's $1.5 million or more a month.
Food on the table.
I'm proud of that. Like I can't wait to say like our payroll was $10 million last month because that's a proud moment for me. I mean, hopefully there was more money on the other side of it, but like I just wanted to help people. And so with my speaking, my podcast, doing everything like that, like I just wanted to help people. So I truly, that's my life's purpose. I mean, we have the Haugen Family Foundation where we give back, and through the dealerships and me personally. And
Who started that?
Me and my wife.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we give back to veterans, single parents, and kids. And shout out to the single parents because we were going to do single moms, but I'm like, hey, I was a single dad, and it wasn't easy. And there's a lot of single dads out there that everybody needs.
Have you got a website for that?
So I actually don't. It's kind of new. It's kind of been our thing. We're feeding it through the dealerships.
Yeah.
But if anybody ever want to reach out to me, let me know. But we just want to give back. Like our whole thing. I got a school that I'm super close to that I went to school my whole life there from kindergarten, from preschool all the way graduated, and it's a very diverse school from kids all over the world. And they come to the school to get a better education, better themselves, better situations, and like I help them, and I just want to help people, which is dangerous because people are like, Jason, you give way too much money away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like I guess it's almost I care about it so little that I just want to help people because they care about it so much. Like, $1,000 to me is $1,000, but $1,000 to that person is like change their life. Or maybe I spend $300 or $400 to go shopping for them. So that's like my mission, my life's purpose is to really just help people and love on people. Yeah. So and I use all the things I got going on to do that.
So on social media, when I've been watching, I think your Napa trip was probably the longest you've been away from Ryan Flint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and him.
What are you guys been working on?
So coming soon, man. Coming soon. We're working on something pretty big that I'm really, really excited about. But, we'll have to stay tuned, and it's gonna be big.
Yeah.
It's in infancy stages, and we're working on something. Can't ever guarantee anything, but we've been working really hard on this project.
That's badass, dude.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So you've got a meeting coming up. You got a doctor's appointment?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, dude. I want to thank you.
Yeah.
Dude, again, appreciate you coming on, dude. That was awesome.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.